The U.S. lifts a decade of sanctions against Liberia, and Liberia's vice president speaks to VOA about the country's developments and challenges. Behind the scenes of a movie produced and starring Africans in the diaspora. And a new video game shatters entertainment industry records. Africa 54 starts right now.
Good evening and welcome. I'm Vincent Makori. This is Africa 54. We'll have those stories in a moment, but first, the U.S. military says it carried out an airstrike targeting one of the world's most wanted men, a British-educated terrorist known as Jihad John, in the Islamic State stronghold of Raqqa, Syria. An unnamed U.S. official says Thursday's drone strike hit the vehicle Mohammed Enwazi was riding in, likely killing him. Shown in the videos dressed in black, a balaclava covering all but his eyes and the bridge of his nose, Jihadi John became a menacing symbol of Islamic State brutality.
Now, if this strike was successful, and we still await confirmation of that, it will be a strike at the heart of ISIL. And it will demonstrate to those who would do Britain, our people, and our allies harm, we have a long reach, we have unwavering determination, and we never forget about our citizens.
Well, Enwazi took part in videos showing the murders of U.S. journalists Stephen Sotloff and James Foley, U.S. aid worker Abdul Rahman Kasij, British aid workers David Haynes and Alain Henning, Japanese journalist Kenji Gato, and other hostages. While Ams and Dua, two young cousins, were both married to foreign fighters of the Islamic State in Raqqa, Syria. Ams says she initially embraced the group's religious fervor, but after her husband fled and Dua's husband carried out a suicide attack, they escaped together to Turkey. Radio Free Europe and Radio Liberty's current Time TV correspondent Shahida Yaqub spoke to the women about their experiences and change of heart.
These two young women have escaped from Syria and from their ties to the Islamic State militant group. I met them in Urfa, Turkey. In their home city of Raqqa, Syria, an Islamic State stronghold, they say they were married to foreign fighters.
أنا تزوجت مرتين. الأول استشهد والثاني ما يعني هو هرب بس إنه كانوا يحكوا إنه إجوا وحكوا إنه هو اختلس أموال من عندهم. يعني صار ياخذ مصاري وشبع وراح. وين راح ما حدا يعرف عنه شيء.
Aus is a 22-year-old university graduate. She came to Urfa with her 20-year-old cousin Dua, who married a man from Saudi Arabia.
حنا أنا ما غصبوني يعني هو إذا طلبني بس يعني أهلي جبروني.
Aus says she was initially pleased by the arrival of Islamic State fighters and their extreme interpretation of Islam.
بس إحنا يعني كانوا يعطونا إنه لما يجوا يدرسوك بالدين يحببوك بالدين إنه هذا الشيء حرام. إحنا كنا نفكر إنه إحنا عم نعمل هذا الشيء لمصلحتهم.
Aus said that for a time she was inspired by the Islamic State group and joined the women's battalion, working to enforce the group's strict moral code.
خضعت لمعسكر شهر كامل 15 يوم هيك 15 يوم هيك يعني سلاح و15 يوم انه تعليم احكام الدين يعني وبعدين انضميت لداعش بعد ما خلصت الشهر هذا تبع المعسكر انضمينا لداعش واستلمت انا كتيبة الحسبة كنا انه بالسيارات ندور على المخالفات وهيك.
But Aus says she began losing faith in the group's violent ideology. She witnessed the public beatings of people accused of violating Sharia law, including those she believed had done nothing wrong.
هلا يعني في مواقف كثير تصير قدامك وانت ما فيك تحكي ولا كلمة. يعني مثلا نعسان. فيعني مثلا انت لك عداوة على بنت. انا احكي لك بشكل عام عن البنات. فانت تروح تبتليها انه هاي هيك حتى اذا ما تكون هي عامله فياخذوها ويجلدوها احتمال كبير انه يجلدوها انت ما فيك تحكي شيء.
Dua did not join the militant group like her cousin, but she also grew disillusioned. She was told that her husband had carried out a suicide bombing.
لما كنا هناك إجباري يعني الواحد بيكون عايش الوضع يحس إنه بس بعد ما إنه في شغلات كتير مثل إنه هلا هو راح فجر حاله بناس مسلمة يعني هذا الشيء غلط.
With the help of false documents arranged by a friend, both women escaped to Turkey. Here in Urfa, the cousins study Turkish and make plans to move further west, to Istanbul or Europe. Avs shows me a picture of herself without a veil, the way she would like to be in public. She says she has left the Islamic State ideology behind her and wants to build a different and better life.
Well, the UN Security Council is urging the fighting parties in Burundi to stop the violence and resolve their issues at the negotiating table. All 15 members voted for a resolution that would freeze assets and impose travel bans on individuals who obstruct peace and fuel violence. The resolution also authorizes the deployment of policy and security experts to assess what is needed to help Burundians.
For all of the limits of what we know about what's happening in Bujumbura, I think the other parts of the country have been no-go zones for much of the international community, and so getting ground truth on what happens outside the capital is also critical as we think about next steps.
Well, President Nkurunziza was re-elected in July in a vote the opposition boycotted. Election-related violence has killed at least 240 people and sent tens of thousands fleeing across the border. To West Africa now, the United States has lifted its economic sanctions against Liberia. Liberia's Information Minister Louis Brown says the lifting of the sanctions should inspire confidence that Liberia is a country open and ready for development. In a letter to the Speaker of the U.S. House of Representatives and the President of the Senate, President Barack Obama said Liberia has made advances to promote democracy and the orderly development of its political, administrative, and economic institutions. Obama cited Liberia's 2 consecutive democratic elections, the conviction of former President Charles Taylor, and what he called the diminished ability of those connected to Taylor to undermine Liberia's progress, as well as the lifting of UN assets freeze on Liberia. Now, Liberia's Vice President Joseph Boakai was in Washington this week, where he signed a multi-million-dollar compact. In an in-depth interview with VOA's James Buddy, he talked about the significance of the compact and a host of other issues. VOA's Zoe Ludaki reports.
Vice President Joseph Boakai was part of the delegation that signed a $257 million Millennium Challenge Corporation compact at the U.S. State Department. He said part of the money will be used on infrastructure projects such as electricity and roads, which is key to Liberia's development. He added that the compact is very significant because it is also about
governance, and it does underscore the fact that we are trying to do our best to put the right institutions into place.
Critics, however, expressed doubts that this will solve Liberia's electricity problem that has persisted for decades. Mr. Boakai argues that Liberia's problem did not just start 10 years ago.
We inherited that problem, and it's not that we are not doing anything about it. Just about the time the hydro project was to commence, that's when the Ebola fell, and everybody left the country. There are other facilities put into place, like the HFO machines that are put into place that will be able to provide more than 40 megawatts of electricity. So electricity is on the go.
As Liberia enters a post-Ebola era, Mr. Boakai says care centers are in place to monitor people recovering from the deadly virus.
We are putting into place the infrastructure necessary to contain the situation and also to make sure that Liberians do not go through this, not just for Ebola, but epidemic in general. So the basic infrastructure for the prevention and also the immediate arrest of Ebola and the recoveries, that's what we're doing now.
Boakai stresses that the investment climate in Liberia is gradually starting to recover as the country enters this post-Ebola period.
Liberia had a sizable investment in the country pre to Ebola. Since then, we've seen a lot of these investors coming back in the agriculture sector, the oil palm industry, and the activities have recommenced, and I am aware that in the agriculture and the mining sector, things are going on.
And as the Western African country moves forward, there is a call to limit the length of presidential terms.
I believe Liberians will have to rethink. We are not America. We are not superpower. Liberians and African countries should consider themselves as countries that are still trying to build. Our people need to understand who we are and the challenges we have.
Mr. Boakai explained that rebuilding the country's infrastructure is a lengthy process and one that may often extend beyond a presidential term. The Liberian vice president also announced that he will run for the top seat to succeed President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf during the 2017 presidential elections. He said he is running on Sirleaf government's record that includes peace, infrastructure development, and freedom of the press. This is Awi Liudaki for Africa 54.
Well, I want to know what you think about Africa 54 and the stories we covered. Join the conversation on Facebook. The address is Africa 54, and check out our headlines 24/7 on voaafrica.com. Well, coming up, Africans in the diaspora venture into the movie business. Stay with us.
This is BizBeat.
Business had been picking up for the past several years at the Red Sea resort town of Sharm el-Sheikh. That's until a Russian passenger plane crashed in October. Since then, hotel operators and businesses have seen revenues plummet.
Before the incident, we were at about 92% occupancy, guests in house, doing quite well. Now here we are a week later, we're at 60% occupancy.
Bezo Kader manages the Sultan's Gardens Hotel, employing more than 500 people. He says the decision by the UK and Russia to suspend flights to the area is having a domino effect on other industries, which indirectly rely on the tourist trade.
It's about all the staff or all the people who support the tourism industry indirectly, whether they be suppliers, transportation, insurance companies, you name it.
Tourism accounts for 6% of Egypt's economy, and last year Russians and Britons made up 2/3 of Egypt's 3 million visitors. For VOA's BizBeat, I'm Philip Alexio.
I wanted to present music and a side of American culture that is most important to me, that is a part of who I am. They're going to get some incredible performances. That's one of the things I love, bringing these artists in so you can get to see them do what they do. It's soul music, and that's what music is. It's that which comes from the soul.
Welcome back. Now, Africans in the diaspora are venturing full throttle into the movie-making industry. Now, Sierra Leoneans are working with their Nigerian counterparts, with women taking the lead. Africa 54's Esther Githui Ewart is in the studio to tell us more. Esther.
The movie is known as high fashion. It is full of suspense and captures squabbles that go on in some family businesses, including jealous business rivals. The stars also live up to the name and wear cutting-edge outfits.
It is a movie full of drama featuring two sisters who inherit money from their parents and decide to open what they call a high-fashion company. Producer Winstina Taylor acts as Trina, while her sister, Princess Jainab Sisi, stars as Chanel. It is not long before the squabbles begin.
You know, in every family you have those moments where you're fighting because you're trying to get your idea to go across, and your sister, the strong-willed one, is saying, no, your idea is garbage.
Trina is a recovering drug addict, and her younger sister, Chanel, does not trust her. She wants to be the boss and makes all the decisions about the company. But Trina isn't having it. Things get ugly.
You are not my boss. Get there.
I asked Chanel why it was difficult to trust her older sister.
And my sister is as well as good as I was, but she, you know, sometimes you go through cracks in life, and she did. And once she did, I took over. So I think the battle in the film, it was just between my sister trying to convince me that I'm not the drugs junkie that I used to be. I'm like a different person. And if anybody, I've dealt with people that have gone through drugs or whatever, it's hard for you to trust them because you think that when you give them power and money, they might go back to their old ways. So it's like she's trying to convince me that I'm good. Let me back into the company. And I'm like, no, you're not good. I don't trust you. I'm like this mean younger sister, even though I want the best for her, but I'm very, very controlling.
The sisters are fashion forward. They wear cutting-edge outfits to market their brand.
We have to make sure we dress, we have the colors, and we show off high fashion.
Enter Nicole, played by Senator from Nigeria. She wants to run a company similar to high fashion. A jealous businesswoman who will stop at nothing to get her way.
I want to know everything. I need to know every single move that they make. I need to know about every flush of air that sips through their nostrils.
Nicole is not the only thorn in the sisters' business. One of only 2 men featured in the movie is Trina's husband. He is the sisters' enemy #1.
Instead of him adding value to my sister's life, he was just out for our money. So I hated it, and my sister didn't see it. My sister was just in, I love him, I love him. I'm like, no, he's here to ruin us.
It takes Trina a while to realize her husband was scheming against them.
His part in the movie really is the one that shakes everything up, that create all the drama, that create all the problems, technically in the whole high fashion movie.
Chanel knows Trina's husband is working for their downfall. It gets really ugly. The lesson here is for families to remain united and guard against outsiders and jealous competitors who will do everything to ruin their success.
And that's real life, that sometimes you think you're in your lane by yourself, but there's somebody out there wanting your spot, want to be you so bad.
The film High Fashion premiered recently in Washington, D.C. with a huge turnout of people from all walks of life. Producer and actress Winstina Taylor says the movie cut across cultural backgrounds and resonated with people running family businesses.
Now, in spite of the drama and what appears to be a very difficult situation, the sisters eventually get along and their business thrives. Another lesson in the movie is that the so-called black sheep in the family does not always have to be that way. People make mistakes, but it is important to support them in making positive changes and avoid defining them from their past negative deeds.
Welcome back. It's Music Makers Friday, and today we introduce Ishmael Isaac, a popular reggae artist from Ivory Coast. The artist took a break from the musical scene since the year 2000 and made a comeback just last year with the album Je Reste, which means I stay. In this song, he tells young Africans not to try to migrate to Europe illegally, but instead stay at home or go study and come back to build Africa. So here is Ishmael Isaac in a collaboration with the Malian rapper Makori in Je Reste.
Comme beaucoup de jeunes Africains, j'ai l'impression que mon avenir se trouve derrière moi. Encore un autre jour. Oui, aujourd'hui, j'ai fait mon sac, ma décision est prise. Plutôt la mort dans la mer que la honte devant ma mère. Une mère qui toutes ces années s'est saignée pour un fils. Aujourd'hui appelé incapable, pour rien dans le quartier. Encore un autre jour, comme sera Amélia, Ceuta ou Lampedusa, de toutes façon je suis un cabrimo chez moi. Plutôt l'amour dans la mer que la honte devant ma mère. Ma décision est prise, je m'en vais.
J'aurais préféré chérir ma terre, mon départ est amer. Je pleure la famille, j'embrasse une dernière fois ma mère. Me v'là dans une embarcation de fortune, je suis crispé. Personne se parle, les regards sont voilés. Loin des miens pour joindre l'Eldorado, l'Occident. Je risque la mort, mais ma famille a besoin d'argent. La peur m'envahit, la mer s'agite. Une prière, que Dieu nous facilite. Je sais qu'Africa a besoin de moi, mais mes proches comptent sur moi. Mais apparemment là-bas on ne veut pas de moi. Le rêve brisé entre quatre murs, Lampedusa.
Dans le passé c'était l'homme blanc qui nous envoyait de force à Babylone. Aujourd'hui qu'ils n'ont plus besoin de nous, c'est nous qui voulons aller là-bas. Aïe 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 aïe. Plutôt l'amour dans la mer que la honte devant ma mère. Ma décision est prise, je m'en vais. Non, je reste, oui, je reste, parce qu'on ne peut pas tous partir.
Non, non.
Sinon, qui va construire notre Africa? Sinon, qui va construire notre Africa?
Qui va construire notre Africa?
Sinon, qui va construire notre Africa? Sinon, qui va construire notre Africa? Le soleil va se lever, il faut que ça change. Il faut que nous changeons les choses. Non, je reste, oui, je reste, oui, parce qu'on ne peut pas tous partir.
Je possède ma liberté. Je reste pour construire mon Africa.
Well, that was Music Makers Friday. Well, it's time now for a short break. Still to come on Africa 54, a video game launch shatters entertainment records. We'll be right back.
Sinjar. And there are some entrenched ISIL fighters in Sinjar.
I'm so excited.
Every song has a different meaning to each person that hears it and interprets it differently. Border Crossings is unique in that it lets the listeners decide what we're playing. But we bring in guests so that our audience has access to some of the biggest names in pop music today. And we reach out to the audience each and every day in different ways.
Back to Africa 54. Here's what's trending. A new video game sets records. The latest installment in the Call of Duty series has taken an estimated $550 million in just 72 hours. According to the game's publisher Activision, Black Ops 3 is the biggest entertainment launch this year in any medium and bigger than any theatrical opening weekend ever. Engagement per player also set a new record for the Call of Duty franchise, with fans worldwide playing the game for more than 75 million hours online in its opening 3 days. Well, and finally, the rare and flawless Blue Moon diamond sold at Sotheby's for over $48 million to a Hong Kong buyer, setting a world record for a gemstone at auction. The cushion-shaped diamond mounted on a ring has the top grading of fancy vivid blue and weighs over 12 carats. The Hong Kong buyer promptly renamed it the Blue Moon of Josephine after his 7-year-old daughter. The stone was found in South Africa's famed Cullinan mine in January 2014. And that is what is trending today. Well, it's time now for a Friday Sports Update. And for all of the news and notes, here's Sunny Young with the sunny side of sports. Hello, Sunny.
Hello, Vincent, and sporty greetings once again to our Africa 54 viewers. Here's a sunny side of sports salute to Kenya's Eliud Kipchoge and Ethiopia's Mare Dibaba, who won big Marathon Runners of the Year awards in Athens, Greece. Ladies first.
But I have never been a
Give me that lady. I want the lady first. Lady first. 26-year-old Mare Dibaba won the women's marathon at this year's World Championships in Beijing, China. She also won another marathon in China to begin the year and finished a close second at the Boston Marathon. Mare Dibaba says it's extra special to receive the award in the spiritual home of the marathon in Greece. For his part, 31-year-old Eliud Kipchoge won 2 major marathons in 2015, the London Marathon in April and the Berlin Marathon in September. In Berlin, Eliud clocked 2 hours and 4 minutes even, a personal best. The 2-time Olympic medal winner says this is one of the biggest awards of his career.
In track for 10 years and marathon in 3 years, but I have never been awarded. So this is actually the important award in my life. That's why I'm saying I will never forget in my life. And I will also write in my diary, this day is a big day for me.
Eliud Kipchoge is also the subject of my latest Sunny Side of Sports blog post. It's titled, Great Year for Kipchoge and Kenyan Marathon Runners. Our Africa 54 viewers can read it at blogs.voanews.com/sunny. I write how Kipchoge hopes to win his 3rd Olympic medal next year in the marathon at the Rio Games in Brazil. I'm VOA's Sunny Young, and that's the sunny side of sports. Vincent?
Well, thanks a lot, Sunny, and that's our show for today. Thanks a lot for watching. Have a good night.
Music is something that brings people together.
Music educates, it motivates, it's a bridge.
Music. Ali.
On
VOA.
qubanaha VOA waxaan ku soo gudbinnaa qubanayaal goosgoos oo xiiso badan oo ku saabsan arrimaha Soomaaliya, Mareykanka iyo caalamkaba.
haddaba qubanaha VOA da kala soco website-keena voasomali.com.
From VOA Learning English, this is the Technology Report.
I'm Milar Sega. I'm the host of VOA's The Correspondents.
A roundup of the world's top stories.
Here's a false choice in more ways than one.
We can't actually put you there, but we can come pretty close. In 30 minutes, we'll show you the world.